a special edition of WMAR 2 News. I'm Mallory Safaste.
And I'm Mark Roper. Right now, we are standing on the beautiful Garden Fence Farm in Harford County.
In the midst of a pandemic, there's one group of essential workers who haven't received much attention, the nation's farmers. And while we absolutely thank and appreciate first responders, we want to take a moment to recognize the farmers who have kept food on Maryland's tables.
And it's been no easy task for them. In the next half hour, we'll take an in-depth look at how farmers are rebounding and how you can help. And all the farmers we spoke with say they've seen tough times before, but nothing like the effects of COVID-19.
In the last several months, we're probably a 40% drop. If you lose 40% of your income, that's going to be a tremendous economic loss there. That's going to be tough to recover.
By now, we would have crops just about coming out that field. It's just the thing that we couldn't get the help because of the virus. That's the whole gist of the whole thing.
If I had to put a number on it, I mean, it's probably 20%, you know, that it's affected our markets. I mean, it's big. Not too many businesses operate on 20% margin.
Well, COVID-19, he probably cut our product line down to about a third of what we normally produce, just because we can't get product, through the local butcher shop. There's no shortage of beef. I assure the consumer that. I mean, we have plenty of beef. We just, can't get it processed at this point.
For the average person that has a job, it would be like you came to work maybe like 2.5 days a week, and that's all you were allowed to work and get paid for.
Family Affair Farm is just what the name suggests, a place where families can typically gather and enjoy themselves. But this season, that's all changed.
When we have large groups out here, and we have 50 or 60 people out here at a time all day long, we have lots of little children running around here with cute little juicy faces, but we also have about 30 or 40 adults that are really picking. So I didn't have to worry too much. And now we're talking, the restrictions that we have, which I totally agree with, that we can only have 10 people in our space at a time. And I've got to get all this out, all the fruit out in a reasonable amount of time. So unfortunately, we had to make a decision not to have children come to the farm because children are in our account. And while we love them, they can't pick the amount of poundage that would have to get out in order for the fruit not to rot in the field.
When first learning about COVID-19, Donna and Nicole tried picking the berries themselves instead of their traditional you-pick-it setup. They quickly learned that was not going to work for their backs.
That we were going to have to pick all these berries, and then we set up a drive-through so people could come in and just come by a table. We did the touchless payment system, and then we put their berries in the backseat of their car, and then they drove out. This year, we wanted to limit the number of times they were in this centralized location. And so what we did was we moved outside so that people didn't have to go inside. We decided to charge one flat price for the gallon buckets. So what people do is they'll actually walk up. They stay outside. We ask them to stay 6 feet apart. And actually, the way Donna schedules them, there's not normally very many people here waiting to go in or come back out, which has been nice. So we haven't really gotten a big long line, which is what we normally see. And so people come and they'll get their bucket and they'll prepay, and then they'll go out to the field, and then we can just wave and say goodbye as they leave.
I think we've seen on the fruit and vegetable side in particular a lot of creativity. That part has been, they said, well, I can't do my business the same way as I have. I'm doing things differently. They have things like online ordering. A lot of them didn't have that. They have a website, some of them. They're figuring out ways to pre-package and have pre-order available so people can just pay for it either over the phone or online and come and pick it up.
Darren Jarbo has been around agriculture his whole life, and now he's using that skill set to help Maryland farmers rebound.
That means that I work with a team of folks around the state who are located in our county offices and our research and education centers. And we develop educational programs and work with producers to help them be successful.
This is our garlic.
All these greenhouses.
Not quite ready yet.
Like the Family Affair Farm, Greener Gardens Farm has seen drastic changes in their day-to-day production on the farm.
Last year, we got an abundance of service from them, so far as volunteers coming over.
Flash mob, where
yeah.
they come in
Yeah.
and they would just say, what do you want us to do? And we'd
Yeah.
point and say, this is what we want you to do, and they would do it.
But this year,
It's just a thing that we
Yeah.
couldn't get the help because of the virus. That's the whole gist of the whole thing. You know,
And some people still wanted to volunteer, but then you had to think in terms of safety, not only for them, but we're not young. So we had to think our safety and their safety.
It affects us to the point by now we'll probably be pulling maybe 2 or 3 bushels of squash a week. And I haven't even got squash in the ground yet.
And it also has an emotional toll on you. So then you also have that loneliness, separation kind of issue going on. We didn't expect that.
There's a lot of mental stress that goes with that, so we are also doing some work in that area on farm mental stress and trying to help producers with that. We feel stress, but we don't exactly understand how it affects us. And so it talks about how it affects a person. Also, what can you do about it? When is it time to maybe ask for some help? We also have a program for producers where it's directly for producer meetings, and we talk with them about stress, how to manage it, what does it look like, how does it affect your family, those kinds of things, where to get help.
People can't always afford high prices for good food. So they settle for whatever they can get. I mean, I believe that good food, everybody should have good food.
Yeah.
They should not have trash. They should have good food. They should not have to eat a candy bar when there's apple there. Hold on. It should not be food deserts. Inside the inner city, it is no stores. It's no grocery stores. So those are the things that we think about. That kind of motivated us to keep on going when I was like, I don't feel like getting up, going out there, my back hurts.
And when we come back, we'll take a look at how dairy, grain, and beef farmers are handling the disruption to the food chain. Stay with us.
We can't raise it fast enough, to service, a lot of the new customers.
It used to be sort of slow. Now, since the pandemic, it's been absolutely insane with people emailing, calling, texting, Facebook messaging, trying to find, beef. That they've always thought about doing this, but they've never done it before, and this sort of has made them reach out to the local people.
Once the beef was depleted from the grocery stores, we still have our regular customers, plus we got inundated with calls. Everybody looking for beef products, protein source, since it wasn't available, throughout the grocer. So the biggest problem was everybody was flooding the local butcher shops, and so we couldn't get our cattle in to service our customer base, plus all the new customers that were coming in, we're trying to pick up.
Pre-COVID, a customer could call up the Brambles and have beef on the table in a month or month and a half. Now, with that backlog at the butcher, it could take 6 months.
We used to sell a lot of small orders, but now with COVID-19, there's been a big fear placed on the consumer. They're fearful of running out of meat, to feed their families. So instead of ordering just 1/4 of beef, they want to order, the whole steer, and fill a whole freezer. Come on! Come on! Come on up! Come on, boy! Come on! So I've been farming all my life. I'm dug in. I'll farm and raise cattle till I can't raise cattle no more. I'm just that passionate about the industry. We have to feed people, and I'm very passionate about that, and I'm proud of my product that I offer. There's tough times. We've been through tough times before, and it's not just the beef producer. It's also the poultry and the swine producers, where you have large contract growers have had to depopulate chickens because of the reduction in workforce for the COVID-19. It's affected every farmer in the state and in every state, nationwide. I mean, it's hurt everyone. It's hurt trade. The farmers are resilient, and I have a good feeling about 21. I think it's going to be very productive.
The Schmidt family farm consists of both a grain and poultry operation. While COVID-19 hasn't affected the daily operations of one sector, it has the other.
So my father, his last flock of chickens just went out about a week and a half ago. He had to keep his chickens about a week and a half longer than usual, and they were doing special lighting programs and different feed programs to try and keep the chickens in the chicken house without growing too big they would become unmarketable because they would just grow too large. So because the processing plants couldn't take all the chickens that they normally could, so you've got all these 8-week-old ready to go to market chickens in chicken houses here on Delmarva, and the processing plants say, no, we can't take those. We were very fortunate. We've heard a lot of stories of other poultry farmers that have had to depopulate, and it's just a bad situation. Nobody wants that. You've got this resource, food that's growing on your farm that is just going to be wasted. So there's people out there that need that food, that want it. They want to buy it. They might not be able to buy it. Maybe it could be given to them, but just simply because it cannot be processed because of COVID-19 the way that it used to be, that's had to happen on some farms. It's putting 1/4 of an inch of rain out, the equivalent of. As far as like a crop rotation and am I doing anything different today than what I would have been doing if COVID wasn't here? Probably not. Grain farming has been a struggle for the last few years. I mean, markets have really been burdened by oversupply, and then with the China trade deal that's never really come to fruition, we've really been fighting a lot of headwinds in the grain commodity markets, and you throw on top of that, a national pandemic. It's just one more thing that's not working well for us. What we're looking at here is, it's got one collared leaf.
Not only do the Schmidts have to worry about getting their product out, they have to be concerned about the continuously dropping price for their corn.
We still sell our corn based off the national market price. And that is, the Midwest states, the Corn Belt, that's what sets that price. So they're selling a lot to ethanol producers. And ethanol is blended with your gasoline. When you go to the gas pump, it's probably going to have 10, maybe 15% ethanol in it. That's made from corn. I mean, they process it, refine it. That comes from corn. So there's just a massive oversupply of corn in the country is what it comes down to, which suppresses the prices.
Even with the odds that are currently stacked against him, David assures us that it's not all bad.
Sometimes it feels like everything's going against you, and you wonder, why am I doing this? Could I be doing something else? Yeah, you wonder that. We've done a lot of improvements on our farms here in the last few years, equipment, but mainly irrigation. That's really cost intensive, and it takes time for those things to begin to return on that investment. And with the financial outlook of farming right now, it's hard to see that return, and you got to weather through that. So, yeah, it's been tough. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And like I said, have the thoughts crossed my mind? I would be lying if I said they hadn't. But you keep pushing forward to get through those challenges, and because everything in life has challenges. The most rewarding aspect of grain farming is just to see God's handiwork. Every seed that's planted, I put it in the ground, but God's who grows it. It's rewarding because these challenges that we've been talking about, when you do overcome them, I mean, it just is an incredible feeling. When a plan works out right, boy, it really feels good, And so I'm looking forward to the next plan that works out right.
If you're not passionate about this, there's no way you're going to keep it up
Some of those same challenges are also facing the Lindell Hall Dairy Farm.
Day-to-day operations, I didn't foresee any change in that. We're a small family farm. My concern was when the schools and restaurants shut down, how it was going to affect the price we receive for our products, and it has greatly impacted that. We've taken a tremendous cut in the price we receive for the products that we produce. The dairy industry has been in some pretty difficult period of time for the last 4 to 5 years. In 2014, we had an outstanding year. Since that, it's been a real decline. All the changes and so on that you could do have pretty much been done. We've already been through a period here of 5 to 6 years of tough times. We have 166 acres here, approximately 120 head of cattle total, or 500 trees of orchard. And my son, my wife, and I are the majority of the workforce.
And by majority, he means there is one other person who works part-time in the orchards.
Well, we start out at about 4 o'clock in the morning, 365 days a year. Very little understanding and little appreciation for what it takes. I'm hearing much more in the last couple months. You hear a lot of people that are trying to start a little garden, or they understand that the food system as a whole nationwide it's a fragile system. I mean, it works very well, but it doesn't take much to get us a little bit out of kilter. And I think that might be one of the good things to come out of this, maybe a little more appreciation and understanding from the general public about what it takes to produce and supply them with all the food that they do have available to them.
There's been a lot of talk in the news about stimulus packages for farmers. When we come back, we'll see if our farmers are seeing any relief. When farmers heard about this plan, they had a glimmer of hope, but of the farmers we spoke to, none of them have received any aid.
The big question is, are they eligible?
From day one, my administration has been determined to protect our nation's incredible farmers. We enacted historic tax cuts and helped family farms stay in the family. For this reason, my administration is launching a sweeping new initiative, the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program. Through this effort, we are providing $19 billion to support our nation's agricultural producers, maintain the health of our critical food supply chains, and provide food assistance to American families. $19 billion.
We were eligible for assistance with it was called the Market Facilitation Program, which was it was supposed to offset the market impacts of the trade war with China. We were eligible for that, and we are not eligible for the most recent stimulus package geared towards farmers. It had a lot to do with market timing and when you sold your crops, how much you held over from the year before, and we did not fit that criteria, so we were not eligible for that.
We've been told that there's supposed to be a dairy relief type package coming out. We haven't got anything yet from that.
USDA just put out an assistance program for USDA livestock producers. We're looking into that, but as of right now, we haven't received any assistance at this point.
We don't always qualify for that for federal assistance because we are a farming operation. Obviously, other companies will step in and help us with low interest loans and different kinds of things.
Generous people have set up a fund through the Farm Alliance to help us with our infrastructure and the resilience to help us so that we don't fall completely flat on our face, so that we do have some funds to work with. And that was exciting.
One reason farmers may not be eligible is because of the formula used to determine who gets what, with $5.1 billion going to cattle farmers and $2.9 billion going to dairy. Farmers need to have experienced a 5% decrease from January through April. Small farmers say they can't typically plan the specific months when they will sell their crops.
USDA describes a small farm as fewer than 1,000 acres and less than $250,000 in gross sales. So while many local farmers may not meet the requirements for government assistance, you can help them rebound.
Purchase the food, especially at the the local products that are in your grocery stores and at the farmers market and other local outlets. I think there are probably a lot of long-term things. Learn more about where your food comes from and what farmers do to produce your food. The more educated you can be about your food, the better. That they're good, hardworking people. They really care about feeding America, and it's really important to them. They're very proud of that fact that they're able to produce food and produce high-quality products for our people to consume.
Don't go away.
Thank you for joining us on the farm.
And we hope you were inspired by these unsung heroes who work long hours with little recognition.
And next time you're in the market for some good food, buy local, do your part to help these farmers rebound. Good night.